Hi, it's Mrs. Carrera. We're here to read chapter 27 and 28 together because they're both really short. Okay, so remember, he just won his bet with Kent at the kickball game. Okay. Someone tapped him on his shoulder. Hi, Alec. Alec looked up, blinking as he shifted back to real life. It was Mr. Wilner. Oh, hi, Mr. Wilner said. These are your newest club members. This is Sarah Jeffries, Julia Hampton, and Ellen Gabriel. Julia smiled and said, Hi, Alec. So, where should we sit? It was lunchtime on Wednesday, and Alec realized that in the excitement about the 3 new girls who had shown up yesterday, he'd forgotten to tell the other club members about his kickball bet with Kent. So he found Nina and told her. She stared at him. You're kidding, right? Alec shook his head. No, he's really coming. We made a bet that if I could score 1 run during that kickball game, then he had to join our club for 5 days, starting today, this afternoon. I can't believe you did that right after I told you how I didn't want to see him anymore. Nina thought a second and then asked, But what's he going to do? Same thing we all do. That's what part of the bet was. And I get to choose which book. Oh. Then, with a devilish smile, she said, You should make him read Lily's Ice Princess book. Alec was glad to see a smile, but he quickly said, It really ought to be a book he'll like. Nina scrunched her face up, thinking, So, a sports story? Alec shook his head. Something he probably wouldn't choose on his own. Nina scowled. But what if he sits at the table with the book open and won't read, all stubborn and mean? It would be just like him to do something like that, to sit there and tease everybody for 5 whole days. Alec shrugged. That could happen, but I don't think it will. Then he told Nina the way he'd offered to call off the bet after he'd won it, and how Kent had said no. Wow, she said. Yeah, I was surprised too, but he was totally... Alec paused, looking for the right word, and then he found it. He was totally honorable. Nina snorted. Kent, honorable? I won't believe that till I see it. Pretending to be serious, Alec said, So, would you like to make a bet about it? No, Nina said. No more bets. Chapter 28. Jerk Proof. After the final bell on Wednesday, Alec rushed to the gym so he could be the first to arrive at the club table. He looked around trying to figure out where to fit 8 kids, 6 more than he'd ever imagined being there. But he didn't have much time for imagining. Kent showed up less than a minute later with a scowl on his face and a chip on his shoulder. So, can I sit wherever I want? Well, Nina usually sits in the far end over there, and this is where I usually sit, and Jason... Kent interrupted. Okay, just look at that magical seating chart inside your head and tell me where to sit. There, Alex said, and he pointed to a spot across from him, but a couple feet down from the end of the table. That way Kent wouldn't be looking across the table at Nina, or sitting next to Jason. Alec was suddenly glad to have all those 4th grade girls to spread around the table today, like insulation between positive and negative wires, good for preventing sparks or explosions. Kent sat down with a heavy thump, and his weight shook the whole table, which he clearly enjoyed. He said, So, are you going to hook me up with a book, or do I have to just sit here like an idiot? Alec was glad Nina hadn't arrived, because this was exactly what she had predicted. It was the same old Kent, not the honorable warrior from yesterday who insisted that he wanted to stick to the conditions of their bargain. But since his talk with Nina, Alec had been busy. Right after lunch, he dashed to the school library before social studies. He arrived at the front desk out of breath. Hi, Mrs. Haddon. This guy, he's kind of a jerk and he thinks reading is stupid, so I have to find something he'll like, even if he tries not to. The librarian smiled. In my business, we don't call them jerks. We call them reluctant readers, and there are lists and lists of books for kids like that. What grade is he in? After Alec had answered, she tapped on her keyboard a moment, peered at the screen, and then turned it so he could see it too. This is an excellent list. Surefire can't miss books. I know you've read a lot of these, so just pick one. I guarantee that these books are jerk-proof. She was right. He'd read all the books in the top 20 on this list, and one of them jumped out at him. It was such an obvious choice that he should have been able to pick it without any help. He pointed at the screen and said, This one. Is there a copy I can check out today, right now? Mrs. Haddon did have a copy available, and that was the book Alex slid across the table to Kent. He looked at the cover illustration. Oh, great. A book about an axe murderer? Thanks a lot. Alec almost laughed, but he kept his face stony, his eyes serious. Listen, you're the one who said you wanted to keep your word, and the deal is that you sit there and keep quiet and read the book I give you. So either get up and leave or shut up and read. Kent started to reply, but then clamped his face into a frown, opened the book, and started reading. As the other kids showed up, Alec motioned that they needed to stay quiet. When he put his finger to his lips and shook his head at Julia Hampton, she immediately rushed around the table and whispered in his ear, "But you said we could talk about our book." Alec whispered back, "Yes, but you all have to read the book first, right? So today is a reading-only day." Julia accepted that logic, went and whispered to Sarah and Ellen, and then all three of them settled down to read. They each had a brand new paperback of a book Alec had never seen, something about cats and dogs. After 15 minutes or so, Alec glanced up and caught Nina looking at him. She secretly pointed toward Kent, who was sitting there being completely true to his word, and Nina didn't try to hide her amazement. Then she smiled at Alec and silently mouthed the words, "Perfect book." Alec smiled and nodded in agreement, and sneaking his own quick look, Alec was amazed, too, because Kent sat motionless, eyes locked on the page, reading that book with the same intensity he'd have used to pitch a kickball with the bases loaded. And why not? Like the librarian said, some books are guaranteed jerk-proof, and Hatchet was a genuine winner. All right, guys, I'll see you next time for the next chapter. Hope you guys are staying safe. Bye.